Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the OXP. I know it's a Friday afternoon. We're all tired, and we're all in the mindset of I'm about to miss my train. So let's jump right into the topic of our presentation, the power of transparency, overtime analysis with Odoo Spreadsheet. My name is Gaëtan Vaujour. I'm a business analyst at Camp2Camp in France, and before that I was an Odoo expert at, an inventory expert at Odoo. If we look briefly at our agenda, first I'm going to briefly introduce Camp2Camp, who we are, what do we do as a partner for Odoo, what do we work on, and you'll see that it has an impact on our presentation. And then obviously we're going to jump into the topic of overtime. We're going to briefly discuss the theory of overtime analysis, give a definition, a formula, see what are our needs in terms of data, and then obviously we're going to talk about security, which is an important aspect of overtime analysis and dashboards. Then obviously we're going to translate that into Odoo. We're going to see how we can use Odoo to display a dashboard regarding overtime analysis for our employees. And obviously we're going to go into Odoo, into a database, to do that together. And you'll see that it doesn't take us 10 hours to do that, but we'll actually do it together in less than 10 minutes. Okay, about Camp2Camp. Camp2Camp was founded in 2001, and before actually working on Odoo, we were a geospatial company. We were working in geospatial open source softwares, and we needed an ERP. And this is when our CEO met Fabien, and we almost instantly fell in love with Odoo. And this is why we decided to implement Odoo in our client companies. We are now more than 200 employees working in 3 different countries, Switzerland, France, and Germany, and we are a major European player in open source. So today, before jumping into the definition of overtime, today I'm not going to talk about a client testimony, but I'm actually going to talk about something that we use at Camp2Camp in our own database, and we use it on a daily basis. All our employees are actually working on it today. Okay, if we had to give a definition for overtime analysis, what would it be? It's the time worked in addition or in subtraction to one's expected working hours. Let me give you a personal example of overtime. For those working in consultancy, we all know that putting a client into production can be a stressing period. We might have to do some exceeding hours during these periods. And I'm completely 100% aligned with this state of mind, because I know that after this stressing period, I will be able to take back these hours and actually take a step back from work and actually enjoy this time with my family, or enjoy doing things that I enjoy doing. And that is what we want to do at Camp2Camp. We want to give back this overtime to our employees. We want to make them the masters of their own working schedule. They will be able to decide what they want to do with the time that they have to work on. Okay, if we create a formula for overtime, it would be this. Overtime equals timesheet plus holidays minus contract hours. Contract hours are obviously the amount of hours that we have to work in a given period. Timesheets are the amount of hours we worked in a given period, and holidays, the hours during which we have to rest, which are obviously really important. Regarding the needs in data, it should be clearly displayed, understandable, readable by our employees, and really easily usable. It should be grouped by the same unit, meaning we should be able to group it by year, by month. We should be able to filter on it as well. It should be secure, and this is really an important topic, because here we are talking about a human resource complex issue dashboard that we are going to build, and every human resource problems comes with a lot of access rights topics. And we should also be able to filter by employee, department, team, okay? This is why it comes with a lot of security aspects. First, a regular employee should only have access to his or her own data only. A team leader should only have access to the team data. A department head should only have access, obviously, to the department data, and the admin should have access to everything. Okay, now that we've talked about theory, we are actually going to see how we can translate that into Odoo. We could have used the timesheet model. We could have used the time off model, the contract model, and to do that in standard. But actually, for three main reasons, we had to go specific. First, in terms of security. Contract details are really critical information, and we may not want that all our employees can have access to such information. And this is why we decided to block, to restrain it, and to give access to only the persons with the correct access rights to contract information. Readability. We need our employees to easily compare timesheet hours, time off hours, and contract hours, and to see their overtime. And also flexibility, because at camp to camp, we can easily change a contract during a year. For example, I can go part-time and then go back to a full-time contract, and we want our employees to be able to do this. But this flexibility comes with a difficulty in terms of standard usage of Odoo. This is why, for these three reasons, we decided to build a specific model. And we built one model to rule them all. In this model, we have timesheet data, we have contracts data, time offs data with all the different types of time offs. And also, the overtime is automatically calculated in this model. I don't know if you remember the formula from a couple slides above, but it was overtime equal timesheet hours plus all holidays hours minus contract hours. And we can see all of this information in this pivot table. Regarding display, we have specific needs. So we have two sections that we need to build. The first section is related to scorecards. We need to have three different scorecards that clearly displays the important information that our employees are going to use on a daily basis. The period of overtime, the overtime used at date, which means that the days they took on which they took some overtime leaves, and the balance, which is equal to period of overtime minus overtime used at date. And on the second section, we need to have a table summing up the different information grouped by month. And this obviously is going to be done using spreadsheet. In Odoo Spreadsheet, we can do a lot of things. We might have to tweak some formulas, and you will see that we will do that together. But then using spreadsheet, we will be able to build a dashboard really quickly, really easily, and a dashboard that is usable and readable by all our employees. Okay, in terms of security now, we need to create different roles, different categories. Not everybody will have the same access rights, meaning that obviously we need to create record roles. There are 3 record roles that we need to create, one for the base user, one for team leaders, and one for admins. Okay, let's do this. Let's actually jump into a database and let's see how we can do this together. So, I'm going into a database, and remember as well that I'm doing it in V17, so I know that some formulas may not exactly be the same in V18, but we will focus today on the V17 version. I'm going to jump into the employee hours report model that we just discussed. This is the employee hours model that we built, and I'm going to jump into the pivot view. In this pivot view, we see that it's grouped by month. I'm going to remove the 2024 period so that I have the full overview of my analysis. And I make sure that all the measures are checked. Contract hours, holidays hours, all the different types of holidays, and the timesheet hours, obviously. And I'm going to insert it in a spreadsheet. Perfect. I'm just going to rename this spreadsheet for the sake of readability. This is the monthly data sheet. And this is the title of the spreadsheet, which is going to be called Overtime Analysis OXP. Perfect. Let's go back to the model. And now for the scorecards, I need actually to regroup all my data by year, because I want to see the data year to date. Today, I want to see all the overtime that I did for the past year, or like starting on the 1st of January up until today. To do that, I regroup by year. Perfect. And I will insert it in a spreadsheet as well, but I will select the spreadsheet that I have just created. Confirm. Okay, let me just rename this spreadsheet for the sake of usability, yearly data. Okay, now we have our monthly data, we have our yearly data, but we need to tweak a little bit the formulas that we are using. As you can see, when I put my mouse here, we can see that we have date year 2023. It's a fixed data, but I need it to be dynamic. When will be the 1st of January 2025, I need my formula, my pivot table to adapt itself automatically so that I only see the data for 2025, okay? To do so, first, I'm going to delete the lines that are useless, and I'm going to modify the formula. Here you see 2024, I'm going to remove that, and I can put the formula year, today, and this is going to give me 2024. Why? Because when I put the formula today, obviously we're the 4th of October 2024. If I take the year of this date, 2024. But I need to do it as well in each of these cells here. So I need to put year, today, and this is going to give me the exact timesheet hours for the ongoing year up until today. We would need to do that for all the different cells, but for the sake of the presentation, I'm just going to do it for one. And also in the monthly data, we should do it as well to be able to compute it on a dynamic basis. Okay, now that we have the two, we can start building our scorecards. As we said, we need 3 different scorecards. Overtime, period overtime, overtime used at date, and the balance. Perfect. So, the period overtime is equal to overtime hours. That's easy. The overtime used at date is equal to overtime hours. So here, the one on the right, we have maybe a spelling issue, but the one on the right is the global overtime, the calculation, and the overtime hours are the overtime hours linked to the time of overtime. So when we actually want to take a day off, we could use the time off, which is called overtime, and this is going to pile up in this cell here. And the balance is equal to period overtime minus overtime used at date. Perfect. But now you see that in terms of readability, it's not perfect because we have units while we are talking in hours. So we need to change the format of these cells. To do so, we know that there's a lot of talk about AI, so let's use ChatGPT to compute this formula. Obviously, if you're cleverer than me, you can obviously do it without ChatGPT, but I'm not that clever in Excel, so here I'm going to use the formula suggested by ChatGPT, and I'm going to change the cells by the one I need. Up. Perfect. Now we see that 3000 hours.38 is equal to 3023 minutes. Perfect. This is what I need. I will drag and drop, and I will use these cells for the scorecards. So let's just make it a little bit sexier. We're going to put some colors. Okay. Going to make it, perfect. And this one is more important as it's the one giving us the balance, so I'm going to put it in bold as well. And you will see that this has an impact on the scorecard. Okay, now that this is done, I can create a new spreadsheet. Be careful, as we're going to create a dashboard, we need to put our dashboard sheet in front of all the other sheets. Let's call it dashboard. And now I'm going to insert some scorecards, charts, type scorecard, and the key value here is going to be the cell I just created. Confirm. Perfect. Going to give it a name. This is the period over time. And I'm going to reduce it a little bit. Perfect. Let me copy it. You see that we can align it easily with the one that I have just created. And this one is overtime used at date. And I'm going to take not E8 but E9. Confirm. Perfect. And one last one, which is the balance. This one is E10. And you see that the design has changed, the color is not the same, and we see that the font is in bold as well. And we're going to modify just the title, and this one is the balance. Okay, perfect. Before linking the other pivot table, the one regarding the monthly data, I just want to create a filter, and you will see why. We're going to create a filter on the date. This one is going to be, for example, relative period. I'm going to select the time range relative period and a default value on year to date. The date fields are the date, save, and you see that it's going to give me the information for the year to date from the 1st of January 2024 to today. If I look at the monthly data, you see that my pivot table has actually some empty lines, and I don't want to display that because it's not a really usable or user-friendly design. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the formula Odoo pivot table, and then using this formula I only display the lines that are not filtered. So here I won't see the lines that are empty. So let me just put some conditional formatting to make it a little bit sexier for our employees. Oops. Perfect. Save. And now you see that my color is popping up dynamically, and my lines as well. I'm going to create other filters. We said that we needed filters on employees, team, and department. Let's create the one for employee, for example. And I'm going to select my employee field on a model. And this model is automatically going to link with the employee field we have in our model employee hour report. Going to save it. And now that this is done, we can actually link this spreadsheet to a dashboard in the section Human Resources, and I'm going to create it. Perfect. Now we have our dashboard, our overtime dashboard, so let's actually put it to the test. Here, I'm going to log out as the admin user, and I'm going to connect with my user. And now I can go in the dashboard app, and you see that I see automatically my overtime calculation for my own user. So I worked 88 hours in overtime since the beginning of the year, and I already took 61 hours in leaves, so I still have a balance of 26 hours. You also see, by the way, that Odoo automatically translated the word balance by the translated terms in French. Perfect. And now that this is done, we can go back to our presentation, and don't hesitate to ask some questions in the pad if you have some. If ever I don't have time to answer that, don't hesitate to send me an email and I will gladly answer that. Thanks a lot for your presence today, and enjoy the end of the OXP.
Okay, so for now we have one question. What is the best source to learn to use, e.g., the Odoo formulas?
E.g., which means,
or maybe it's
for example, what is the best source to learn to use the Odoo formulas? Well, you can go first in the Odoo documentation. So if you go Odoo doc spreadsheet, you have the list of all the formulas that are available in Odoo Spreadsheet. So here you see functions, and you will be able to see all the formulas that are available. Basically, most of the Google formulas are available in this Odoo Spreadsheet, so you can go through that. If ever your formula is not available here, just try it out on Odoo Spreadsheet and you'll see if it works. Most of the Google formulas actually do.
Perfect, thanks. And another one, but I don't know if you will be able to show. What does the dashboard look like on the mobile app?
Ah, that's a good point. So let's go here. I think if I can't. Ah, yes, I can. Inspect. So this is what the dashboard looks like in the mobile app. So you see the different scorecards. Actually, I think we don't see a lot of the pivot table because obviously in terms of size, it would not be readable at all. But Odoo automatically puts the scorecards to the full length of the mobile device.
It's over for now.
Oops.
No more questions.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.